At the KSMO studio, we have Presiding Commissioner Darrell Skiles with us on this first Friday of the month of October.
Good morning,
Stan.
Stan.
Good morning. It's a full day today, a little cooler day today, sir.
It's fall.
It is
fall.
autumn, yeah.
My birthday is September the 22nd, and so I'm the fall guy, they tell me, always.
wow.
Yep, every year. Yep. So
Well,
it
it
is.
works out that
it
way,
is
doesn't
officially
it?
fall, but it's been some beautiful weather. We could sure use some rain, though.
I'm not promising anything. No rose garden here. That just still doesn't look like much rain, even next week.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty desperately dry out there. At least we're not dealing with 100-degree heat, but it is very dry. So, but at any rate, county business goes on, though.
It
It's
does.
been a while since we've been on the air.
3
here.
weeks.
You haven't changed the old place much since I was here
No.
last. No.
Still got kind of the fall flowers that they kind of
Yeah.
stay here all year.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
That's just
Yeah. But
hasn't
anyway,
changed much.
several things going on. I got a full plate today, so we'll kind of get through some of these things.
Well, let's get to it. We'll start wherever you want to
yep.
get started.
Well,
'cause we've got plenty to talk
We'll
about.
talk about it being dry, and I tell you, it's the guys are still getting some grading done, but it's gotten to where the roads are almost too dry to be able to grade. When it gets too dry, it just turns to powder, and really it turns into a deal where it's almost like you're trying to grade flour back and forth, and then it just puffs and you just can't do much with it when it gets this dry. They're still getting some grading done though, and some ditch work and things like that, replacing culverts. The guys have been cutting brush every day, and that's a year-round deal.
Absolutely.
We probably
anymore.
get as many requests for brush cutting to be done as anything, and it takes a full year for the guys, as we've talked before, the guys to make a full circle, get around all the roads in the county. But
Boy, and how fast that grass grew back in early August after all that rain in July. And
It's incredible.
It was just sky high, and then
Yep.
now that they cut it, there's nothing.
some that they already cut earlier this summer, folks would like to have cut again, and they haven't been able to get around yet. All the roads even get them one cut yet. So
Yeah.
anyway, but that's just a usual deal. But they have been getting grading done, cutting brush, doing repair on chip and seal roads and things. But they've also gotten started this last week on the chip and seal project. We put that out for bid. Well, first time we put it out for bid, didn't get any bids, and then, so we put it back out for bid. Had a gentleman who is a small operation, mostly him and his family down in southwest Missouri, that we talked to the county that they worked for. They do a good job, and so this gentleman bid it, and he and his crew are here. This started last week, getting chip and seal done, and the fellas all tell me they're doing a great job, and so look forward to that. I think it was about $270,000 project there on some overlay on pretty much mostly all existing chip and seal roads. Get an
Right.
overlay on them. We have to do them all every 5, 6, or 7 years, or they'll start breaking up and completely, and we'll lose them. So anyway, we got that done. We back earlier this spring, I think it was, we ordered a couple of new John Deere graders. They should be delivered shortly, so we did put out then for bids for lease purchase financing for those. And we had 3 bids from our local lenders, and we really appreciate everybody bidding. And Town and Country Bank was the lowest bidder for those lease purchase bids, and that at 4.25% with no fees. So again, we appreciate Town and Country Bank, and we appreciate all of our local lenders that bid on these things for us.
And that's a 5 payment
5 year
with annual interest.
5-year lease purchase.
Yep.
And so very good to get that done. We also opened bids for culverts for the Title II project down on, I believe that's County Road 5600 down in the southeast part of the
I
county.
believe you're right.
That's, and I say Title II project, that's part of our Forest Service monies, forest monies that we get, National Forest dollars, go into either Title II or Title III. It builds up, and we can use that fund. You have to apply for it, goes through a committee then, and so that's all down in Commissioner Mowbray's district. And so he's got a project that was approved for road improvements on County Road 5600 down in that area, and put new culverts in.
Right.
These are metal culverts. To do these projects in the National Forest. They need to be metal culverts. So, we really like, people have seen, we're using a lot of the black, heavy plastic, I call them plastic, but they're a
Like fiberglass. Something,
something hybrid composite. And they work great, but in the national forest where there's more fire danger, we have to use the metal culverts. 'Cause, last thing you want is for your your culvert under your road to catch on fire. Because that's the only downside to them, is that they will burn. So if we get a fire out, why, then that does sometimes create a bit of a deal. So anyway, so we did open bids on for new culverts for that. V. Brock out of Sedalia, good firm we dealt with many times. Got the bid on that for $10,320 worth of culverts on that. So that,
I believe they've already been delivered.
I believe they've been delivered, right?
Yeah.
So they'll be working on that. And then we also, as usual, we put out periodically bids for gasoline and diesel. We put out bids for diesel this last time, and again, we had three of our local bidders bid that, and Phil Mart here at Salem, right here in town, got that bid for at $3.45 a gallon. So. Their bid actually figured out to be a savings to the county of about $364 over the next bidder. So, again, we appreciate Phil Mart, and we appreciate all of the local companies.
And with the price of fuel, Darrell, you need to save the $364.
We need to save, yep. There is yep, that's right. All of our fuel and all of our costs are considerably more than what they've ever been before. So that's what we're looking at there. We do have a bright spot on the dollar side, though. Treasurer Anita Williams was in, and she gave us a report for CART, which is our fuel tax dollars that counties and cities get a portion of. And that's a major part of our revenue stream to fund road and bridge, about 700, and I forget now, 765 or 75,000 or so a year, we figure, but we do watch that for being up or down. And so our CART report revenue for September was $14,600 over 2021. So that was up considerably. Year to date, our CART funds are up about $46,200. So that's about an 8.5% increase. And that's, and that's not one that inflation necessarily raises because of inflation, because it's a flat amount per gallon. So as fuel usage goes up, then the amount of CART comes back as well. But as fuel usage goes up, then there's more vehicles on the roads and more wear and tear and so forth and so on. So it corresponds.
Little CART tax comes out of the purchase of new vehicles
that's
as well.
Right.
And also, I believe you purchase of new UTVs and ATVs, I believe, also has a very small amount of CART money.
I wouldn't guarantee that, because I bought one. I bought one this summer.
I think it does, but it's very small.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, but new vehicle sales and things,
trailers. Since they use the roads,
trailers,
I think
motors,
they now do that.
Boats, motors, trailers, vehicles, trailers. Yeah. That sales tax on those does apply.
I always want to know why the boats would pay a CART tax.
Yeah, well, they got to drive. They got to follow that road to get there.
They got to follow the trailer, but I know. It's just, the boat itself, though, hopefully is not going to ride on the road.
Right. Yeah.
I've seen them, though, fall off in trailer. That's not a good thing.
Makes for a bad deal. Makes for a long day for somebody.
Makes for a real bad day for somebody. Yeah, it does.
So, anyway.
That was good news.
It was good to hear. We also, here sometime back, we did put out for bids for courthouse repairs. We got some in back earlier this year that were just almost ridiculous. We put it back out for bid. Local contractor from Rolla did bid it, and that bid was good. We opened them in August, and that bid was good for about 30 days. It was only good until about September 20 or 24th. But at any rate, the contractor has extended that because, as you know, we are still waiting to find out the final determination with Department of Revenue on how and when the payback will have to be done on the another $900,000 that they say because of their mistake that we have to pay back. So we're waiting on that still and hoping to get resolution to that. I know people are tired of hearing me say that. I've been saying it for the last 6 months. Thought we were close.
You're tired of it too.
I'm sick and tired of it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. But at any rate, the contractor did graciously agree to extend the deadline for the acceptance of the entire bid, and it was $1.6 million, a little over, to get all the work done that we wanted to get done on the courthouse. So we did extend that period to October 20th, so that gives us a little more time to see where we're at on final payment on this Department of Revenue thing. But we did budget a good sizable amount of money to do courthouse work anyway, so we did go ahead and approve, and the contractor with Quirky Stack, our engineer, worked it out that we could go ahead and proceed with about $507,000 of that bid of work having to do with the brickwork and some things like that, other exterior work that was going to have to be done regardless of the rest of the contract. So we did get that contract signed yesterday, and they will be proceeding with that $507,000 of it. So we're going to it's going to start with about a third of the whole project here right away. Hopefully before the month's out, we'll have better resolution of things and maybe see how much of the rest of the whole job we can go ahead and proceed with.
Much needed improvement on electric, I understand.
Yeah, they're going to.
You definitely need some probably updated things there. I don't know how old the electric system is in that courthouse, but I guarantee you.
Well, the main part of this bid, though, what it'll do electric-wise, is just actually putting the electric service underground.
Right, that's what I mean. But I mean, it's on the way, and so
get that done, then we can look at the rest of it and make improvements as needed. But this needed to be done first, even before they could do any more outside work.
Because you're gonna have to put all that scaffolding and stuff up there, and then what are you gonna do? And you have to put that on the ground.
Well, and we run into it. It's always been a problem, even when we're trying to get the courthouse lights, the Christmas lights, working there for Christmas and things. So depending on what happens with this project and timing and so forth and so on, we could be in a situation where we wouldn't be able to have the Christmas lights on. I'm hoping not. I'm thinking this first part of the thing, I don't think will affect it that much, so we may be able to. Boy, they're getting to be very difficult to even keep working. They are so old. But that is part of the overall project. That the last thing that we would do then would be to install new Christmas lighting on the old courthouse. It's beautiful when it's lit up. It's a beautiful old building, period. But it's really pretty at night when it's all lit up and things. So we look forward to getting this work done and be able to enjoy the beauty of our old courthouse.
Yeah, those old Christmas lights, they're over 20 years. I know it's got to be about 25 years on those.
I'd say they've got to be more than that, even 30, because this makes my 16th year, and they'd been there quite a long time before I came on.
I know. I've seen the wires, and they're pretty.
Yes.
They're pretty much toast.
They're pretty well done. So
they're pretty dry, and
there's
not much flexibility left in those.
Yeah, like none. So anyway, so glad to get that done, and folks will be starting to see a lot of work, especially up on top with the brickwork, taking the old chimneys down, and then especially on the east wall of the courthouse. There was a lot of galling and stuff, and so brickwork that needs to be done pretty badly to get that out of the way. So anyway, glad to get that done. Wanted to mention, too, of course, people always hear me talk about the Ozark River Solid Waste Management District, and our main responsibility there is administering waste reduction recycling grants. We had several grant awards or grant projects. I think we had 10 applications this year for about $300 and some $1,000. We actually, in the end, found that we had about $223,000, a little over, of dollars available, and this is dollars again that come from Department of Natural Resources, which comes from tipping fees for waste that's dumped at the landfills, and there's a certain fee attached to that, and then it comes back for waste reduction grants, and it's part of a legislation that was passed many years ago to try to reduce the amount of material going in landfills, and it's working. I mean, it does. We're able to do a lot of different things. So anyway, our executive board, and I'm vice chairman of the executive board of the Ozark River Solid Waste District. We review all these grant applications, we score them, rate them, and then we did award 9 grant applications for our region for a total of $223,000. There will be one of these projects, an interesting project that will be carried out here in Dent County, just right out here west of Salem, out at Hometown Processing. It's a animal processing plant. And it'll be a project involving an anaerobic digester that they'll be putting in place to try to be able to recycle the waste products that they can't do anything with otherwise, which is always a problem for small meat processors. So it's going to be an interesting project. It's going to be overseen, and actually the project was submitted by Professor Wang from the University of Missouri-Rolla, or Missouri Science and Technology College at Rolla, Still
Many people know who you're talking
Still
about.
call it UMR.
Yeah.
Anyway, he has a company of his own where he's been developing different technologies to address things, and this is something he's been working on a little bit on a small scale over at Rolla, and so he's going to work on a little bigger project right here at Dent County at Hometown Meat Processing.
There are a number. As a matter of fact, I did some research after you told me about it because I didn't have any idea what this thing was.
Uh-huh.
And many of the bigger processing plants have these huge machines to do what you're talking about, to change these
Yeah.
products into something else usable, usually in the form of fertilizer or things of that nature that they're able to do that.
Right.
But smaller plants, like here in Salem, don't.
No, they don't.
They can't afford it. It's just not. There's no sense in buying that kind of machine because they won't even process half the amount of animals they would need to even do it.
Right. Because it's amazing how much of every animal gets used. However, there are still those parts, even just the contents in the stomach and the intestines and so on, that are there that something has to be done with. I know some plants just dump it in barrels, and they pay a rendering company plant to come and pick those up, and it's just an additional cost. If this technology can be used to cut that cost some or half, or then that's just an advantage and allows them to break it down into something then that can be used maybe locally and add some extra value there. So anyway, it'd be interesting to watch.
It is an interesting process. When I looked into it, I thought I didn't even know that existed.
Yep. Well, it does when they mention this, it does make you think. Well, what do they do with that?
Yeah.
When you're talking about these big processing plants that process thousands of head of cattle a day, well, that's a tremendous amount of material that's got to be done something
There's
with.
like 4 different processes that are being used right now. One is burning. They burn it and then they turn the ash and they put the ash out into the fields. Another one is they turn everything into like a sausage, and then when they spray it, they mix it with a liquid and they spray it out in the field. So it's a lot of nutrients in those byproducts that are going out there, but like I said, there's just a number of different things to it, and they've tried different things.
Let's clarify, though, they're not putting it in sausage anybody eats.
No.
We don't want to.
No, I mean they're mixing it all together, so it comes out in a paste, and then they mix it with water, and then they're able to spray it. And so I thought, that's very interesting. I mean, they kind of freeze dry it, so when it comes out, it's just powder.
And it has a high value.
It does.
A nutrient value for the soil.
The nitrogen level on it is very high, and so
there's a lot of different interesting things we've done over to our solid waste district. One of the things we've done is help a gentleman over there who's developed some technology to take these alkaline batteries and break down all the chemicals and things that are in those batteries, because they actually can be, once that's broken down and separated, then it actually soil amendments that can be used from those and to put to use. Anyway,
it's amazing what people can think of, but boy, I hope Dr. Wang's process works, because I think a lot of these small companies like this could really use something to their scale.
Yeah. So, I want to mention too, we received some time back an offer from the Missouri Department of Agriculture. They'll do this about every year, a contract to do remonumentation in the county. And what that means is, if you go to have a piece of ground surveyed, the surveyor has to start at an established corner, find an established corner that they can come off of to survey any piece of ground and start marking from there.
If they want accurate survey, they have to do that.
Yeah, and so them corners are monumented. They call them monumented corners, are scattered out all over the county, and at any rate, so the state does help with trying to go ahead and remark and find them, remark them, get them resurveyed and marked, so that it's easier for future surveys to find and use them. So they do this, and so they extended a contract to do a remonumentation of and remark 10 corners. I visited with our surveyor, Michelle Elwood, and she's good with this. And they will reimburse the county $350 for each corner that is marked. So we did approve that contract to get that work done. It's just
and somebody may ask, Darrell, well, why is this so important to remonument the corners? I said, I had somebody ask me that. I said, well, I'll tell you something. If you had to hire a surveyor and they can't find a natural corner, the farther they go, more expensive it's going to be.
Yeah,
Because
if they can't find an established corner, they will find an established
will
corner to
find
start
one,
from, and that's
but it's nice when
Yes.
they're close, so you don't have to pay the extra money for
Right.
them to go find that natural corner and then have to shoot it, survey it, make sure that everything is accurate. That's a lot of extra work, and it's a lot of extra money when you have to pay for that.
right. Try to get 40 acres surveyed when the only established corner is a mile or two away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it helps. So anyway,
So,
so we got that done, and that's
We haven't done that in 3 years or so because of COVID. I'm pretty sure. That
yeah,
it's
right.
been
Been a
while.
lot of
Yeah.
miscellaneous things that interfered with getting that
Yeah.
done. So,
Glad that they're doing it again.
Yes.
I'm really
Yeah.
happy about that.
yep, needed to be done. Wanted to mention too, and you were. Let me see. Let me look back on my notes here. Yep. Okay. You were there Monday, Stan. Stayed for it.
We did our transportation
Yes. Every year,
report.
MRPC, we have our Transportation Advisory Committee that meets in December to prioritize needs across the region. Well, before we can prioritize needs across the region, we have to establish what our high priority needs are. As far as when we're talking about that involves state, state highways, help monies for sidewalks and so on, but at any rate on the state highway thing. So anyway, every fall, MRPC is usually the executive director or one of them from MRPC along with Preston Kramer from MoDOT or along with the district engineer. Let me say that. Right now that's Preston Kramer, works for MoDOT, he's district engineer. But they come and sit down with the commission, they go over our transportation list of needs, so forth and so on, and it's a long list, and things move off of it. Previously, one of the things on our list of needs, what we try to do is narrow it down to 3 or 4. One of the priorities we had that had been on there for a while was to get a new bridge on across Gladden Creek here south of Salem at what they call Standing Rock Bridge. It's an old bridge. It's sitting there, an old truss bridge built back in, I think, 30s, something like that. And but it now is actually on what they call the STIP, and the STIP is the State Transportation Improvement Program or plan, I guess. So once it's on the STIP, then that means money has been allocated for the project, and it is officially slated for action and for it to be done. So as it stands right now, it is on the STIP to replace the Standing Rock Bridge on Highway 19 south of Salem. They are working through all the details of that. There will be some realignment because they know they're not going to be trying to close the highway or anything, so don't anybody get worried about that.
Maybe take that curve out of there before you hit the
probably
bridge.
gentle the thing a little bit and straighten out a section of road there.
Push it to the west a little, maybe.
I'm
make it
thinking
nicer.
that most likely will be the case, yes. So anyway, so it's already on the STIP. There's no point including in our priorities those projects that are already on the STIP and identified for work. So that's gone. But we did look at, as you know, Stan, quite a few of the different things that we have on there, and we'll keep those in the overall plan. But we needed to come up with 3 or 4 then that are our highest priority that I can present at the December Transportation Advisory Committee meeting for as top regional needs. So our top 4 that we settled on was once again to get a bridge across Crooked Creek on Highway TT down at Sligo. And so that was been on our high on our list for the last couple of 3 years, and again we're going to keep that. Also, we're basically going to keep the 4 that we had with the Gladden Creek Bridge off. Now we're going to so our first top priority is for a new bridge on Highway TT at Sligo. Second one would be for a new bridge out at Boss on Highway 32 east over Huzaw Creek. That old bridge is
curve bridge,
and it's on a curve. It's got a lot of challenges.
And I remember what was it, 2 years ago, Preston Kramer said, he goes, it will not be a curved bridge when they put it back. They're going to straighten it out. And so, but back in the 30s, you had a lot of those curved bridges. I mean, anybody that's gone from here over 60 into Illinois, look at that big curve they have on. It needs to all be like that, curving down right over top of the river and coming back down like that's crazy.
Yeah,
you get these big trucks. There's no room.
Yep.
But those guys are such good drivers. It amazes me that there's not more accidents like on those bridges. But anyway. But that was one, and that one is getting a little worse all the time, but not in a desperate situation yet.
Not yet. Nope. I mean, the MoDOT is they survey the bridges and study them and give them classifications for different under different categories and things, and it's still solid. There's not a danger of it or anything. It looks much worse than it actually is structurally. It looks terrible, but at any rate, it is. It did make our list though, coming in at second, and then third was Route B south of Salem. Goes from 19 over towards what we call the Quarry Road. A lot of dump trucks use that road every day, log trucks as well, and just local traffic too. But a lot of truck traffic, and that's been on our list for a while, that we'd love to see some shoulders added to Route B.
Very narrow road.
And there's a curve and a hill thing that we'd like to see some realignment done to straighten out a little problem area that we see. And then after that, our fourth one actually is down here on Highway 19 and Roosevelt intersect. No, it's not an intersection. It's just where it's where Roosevelt intersects Highway 19, right at the crest of the hill. The sight line's not good. Our immediate thinking is that turn lanes would be awfully nice on that section of road. So
and the big concern there is that leads to your
school,
upper elementary.
Yeah,
a
lot of traffic.
You got a lot of kids there, and a lot of traffic is there, with people picking up their kids, and so
in the early morning, a lot of traffic, and then in the afternoon, a school lets out again. Then it's other times there's not that much traffic, and it really isn't much of an issue. But at times it's a big issue. So, thankfully,
but also for Head Start though, Darrell, people take that road to go down to Wines.
Yeah,
as well.
That's true. That's true. Right, the Head Start school back to the west. So anyway, so that did make our list then at number 4, and we'll keep working on that to try to attempt some resolution. There were quite a few. There's some other things that we talked about too, as far as on prioritization, a need for sidewalks on Highway 19 here, coming up on this east side. Yes, on the east side there needs to be sidewalks on Highway 19 added, and then also sidewalks from like Carty Street on 3272 east, going from like Carty Street down past like Beagle's Restaurant and down to the Industrial Drive past Country Mart.
Yeah, no sidewalks.
There's no sidewalks on either side of the highway there. So, so those are a couple of things we mentioned that we'll also be looking at and trying to maybe get some help with and some action with.
I kept trying to figure out why there would be none there, but I do remember there wasn't anything out there when they first did that survey. I mean, the Walmart was out there, but then Walmart then moved.
Right. And
Town and Country Supermarket was on the other side. Country Mart wasn't there yet when they were surveying to make 32 3 lanes wide. And, of course, there's still a vacant lot right next to Country Mart, but those other buildings, in all honesty, they weren't there. Dr. Cunningham was, but that was it.
Yeah.
So they do definitely need a sidewalk there. So I thought about it the other day when I drove down there. I said, yeah, I could see why I want to have a sidewalk here so somebody could actually go down to the supermarket.
Right, without having to walk on the highway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a dark area out there. There's no lights on that part of the highway either.
Yep. So looking at that. So anyway, and then we also discussed the BRO program. BRO is it's the Federal Bridge Replacement Off System, is what BRO stands for. Everything's an acronym, and so BROs.
That's right, bro.
That's right, bro. Bridge Replacement Off System. So when somebody says hello, bro, you go, yeah, well, I'm not a bridge, but anyway. But
well, they also have the berm and the BRM too.
Yeah, but there's a lot of federal dollars come to. Counties, mostly counties, cities access some of those dollars as well for BRO eligible bridges, and these are basically for bridges, and it's bridge replacement off system. So we did get Preston was able to bring us up to date on some of the changes in that system. There's quite a few more dollars available. There's actually some of those dollars are available in certain instances, can be used for replacement with a bridge of a low water crossing area, so to make it at least easier. Now we did, a few years ago, we did replace a low water crossing out on, I think it's 3210. I think we call it the hospital road. It turns off just past the hospital, cuts over the highway.
Right.
A big low water crossing.
It's a nice bridge.
Yeah,
put in there.
It's a big low water crossing on Spring Creek. That was undermined terribly. We had to close the road, which was a horrible inconvenience for folks in that area. So, but we did manage to get it qualified under BRO to use some of our BRO funds, actually to turn around and borrow against future BRO allocations to get enough money put together to build that really nice bridge out there on that road and get that done.
But Preston said that's all now been forgiven.
Actually, under the new BRO program, if you had a negative BRO balance, then those balances are forgiven and wiped out, because as it was going to take years to build up any money in the BRO thing again to do anything with. So that's nice to hear, and it's actually just kind of a little different setup altogether. And I think we'll probably learn a little more about it at our Missouri Association of Counties conference coming up here in November, and we'll have a session, I think, probably about BRO at our commissioners training coming up here next winter too. So
you may
anyway,
find out more at TAC meeting too, when they're there talking about that.
Yeah, at TAC we hear a lot and how these things work. So at any rate, it's good to know that, we don't really have what we call that many, quote, bridges that even fall under BRO authority. Just a few. Now, in the city, we had a discussion about the bridge over here on 2nd Street that the city had to close because of damage that was done to the sidewall, the thing, and actually that bridge actually found out it actually would qualify for BRO funds if it got rated worse. Now, the last time it was rated by the state, it actually is kind of like the bridge out on Huzzah. Looked terrible, but actually structure-wise and so on, as far as underneath substructure, it was good and wouldn't qualify for any BRO funds to replace it. Now, with the sidewall broke off, which is what forced them to close it,
it shifted too. Somebody hit it. It shifted.
Well, I said there will be another inspection of that bridge done to see where it's at on the BRO thing. So there may be some help there then when they do another inspection of that to see, if it is enough to where they'll reclassify it as.
So don't try and sneak through that way. It is blocked off.
Yep. No, you can't get through there. So anyway, it was a good meeting, and I always appreciate Bonnie and the MRPC folks, and
also talking about
Preston.
more money in the TAP program as well.
Right, that's
For
transportation.
TAP grants, and if you have something that you would like to have TAP grant for new sidewalks, for trails and things of that nature, and they say now is the time to put it in, as long as you have the money to meet the match.
Right. Well, even on the BRO, they're looking at 10 to 15% county match for something we do there, and the city be the same way. Same way on these TAP things. Cities across the region, cities are the ones that generally access the TAP dollars for sidewalks or some other improvement. One of the things we talked about is, and we look at is a little bit the intersection up here at Franklin Street, and just down the street from where we're at here at the radio station down here at Franklin and Highway 19. And one of the things that gets thrown out was the possibility of a roundabout there. Yeah. And I almost hate to mention that because I can immediately start hearing people hissing and growling and snarling about a roundabout there. And that's
I think there's enough room to put a roundabout there.
Yeah, there's not enough room there, and it just doesn't lend itself to that. But it is a little bit of a problem intersection that they're constantly looking at, trying to figure out how to improve that and make it a little safer and more usable. If you're coming down Franklin going east, going east, and you're going to try to turn west on 19, it's just a pretty poor intersection, and but most folks know that, locally, most folks know that, and it works. I mean, it doesn't have a really bad serious traffic accident history.
There's a lot of minor accidents.
A lot of minor.
And a lot of that is because of the stores around it, Darrell. As I mentioned, it's only 9 feet from the actual intersection to a opening for Philmart. 9 feet. So if somebody has a left turn signal on and you think they're turning in the street, they go right by you and they turn into Philmart. Yeah. Or if somebody comes out of Philmart and they're standing there and they're trying to make a left and you're trying to make a left and both of you are making a left. Yeah. That may not work out real well.
And so, at any rate, as we go down the road, I'd say Philmart or MoDOT and Dan and the folks at Philmart, and then they will probably have discussions about what they would envision would be some answers to solutions to whatever the problem is, if there is any. Otherwise, it may just stay like it is for quite a while. It may just be one of them deals, and that's fine.
Yeah, and also, going west on Franklin in adverse weather. We had that little hill there. And it's not a big, huge hill, but it's enough that if you have to get out in traffic quickly, you may not make it.
You may not. You may have to go
You
somewhere.
may slip a
You
little
may have
bit.
to go somewhere else to try
Yeah.
to accomplish that.
Yeah, like you said the other day, you go through the church parking lot, and a lot of people do.
Uh-huh.
They go down, they go in front of the church on water, and they just quickly turn in there, and then they go up to 19, and they got great sight lines there,
Yeah. And an easier pull
and
out.
an easier way to get out, a
Yeah.
nice level area. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So anyway, but it was a good meeting, and we appreciated that. And then yesterday afternoon late, we did have L.J. Hart, Larry Hart of L.J. Hart and Company, and his vice president, Courtney Wegman. They come in. They were the bond underwriters on the jail project for us, and they just come in to touch base a little bit on where things were at with the bonding and with current interest rates and so on. There's no, the bonds that we built the jail with were actually done in two different series. We got 2018 series bonds, and then the 2019 series bonds that we sold to be able to build it. The 2018 series bonds come with a call date coming up here in April of 23, and so the time was approaching to where those could be redeemed, and if financing rates were attractive to resell those then at a lower rate, there's things you can do. The situation with interest rates, though, at this point, it doesn't look like that's probably anything we need to worry about. I mean, we're good. Our bonds, the interest is fixed for all of our bonding for the jail is good and fixed for the duration and the life of it. It's just periodically something to take a look at and see if you can save yourself some money by doing a refinance
Absolutely.
of those. And then we also talked about how that would work as far as the possibility here a few years down the road at some point going ahead and possibly extending the period for that bond financing. From right now, those bonds all will terminate in 38, will be paid off in 2038. If we could extend those, say, 5 or 10 years, then we could generate considerable additional bond money to use to build the courtroom in that vacant spot that was left for a courtroom between the parking lot and the jail. So as time goes along, that's something we'll be looking at, and I'm hopeful that we can be moving towards that here. I don't know if we can get it done, do it in the next 4 years or somewhere in that time period, but we need to pay off some on what we've got and take a look at that and then see where we're at. I mean, of course, it comes a point when you're talking about inflation and things like it is. Well, it comes a point, if you're serious and going to do it, you're better off to go ahead and do it and extend the bond period out and get that done at a much lower rate than what the inflation rate is, and get the material and the contractor on board and get it done. So
Cost of material is still pretty high.
yes, it is. So, it's
going to get higher.
we'll
now
take a
that-
look.
now
But at
that
any
we-
rate, everything's good where we're at, and give everybody a little better clarity of how that would work if and when we're ready to try to move forward then. And I think most all would agree, if you've ever been down there for trial and for jury selection and so on, we just really badly need a new courtroom and facilities with that courtroom.
Absolutely.
ADA.
You have it right there.
Yep, fully ADA compliant, jury compatible, the whole bit, and that's why there's that grassy area between the jail and the parking lot.
Yeah.
So we'll do that sometime.
And with the hurricane right now, the price of material is going to
it's going to be crazy.
Yeah,
It's going to be crazy.
super high because they got to rebuild, and so that's just going to throw it way back up. If it started to come down,
Which
it's
is one
gonna
reason,
go back up.
which is another thing why we're fortunate to at least have these bids locked in, at least through to the 20th of October, and we'll have to make a decision on all the rest of the work we want to do, basically mostly on the exterior of the courthouse. We'll have a separate project we'll do on trying to get some additional bathroom space in the old courthouse downstairs, but that's a separate project from this courthouse work we're looking at right now. Okay?
A lot of things to still do.
Yep.
Yeah, always something to do, isn't there?
Always, always, always.
Oh.
Yes, sir. Yep.
As soon as you think you're getting ahead, you're not.
Yeah, well,
You're just catching up.
yeah, but things are good when I
True.
and I think the other office holders would agree when we get back from meetings at other counties and things. Well, everybody has their baubles and their issues and things, but even with our Department of Revenue deal, we're pretty fortunate and pretty blessed. So no complaints.
Speaking of that, you visited with the auditors and you got your audit back.
Yeah, we did get the audit back for the first audit was on the financial audit, and it's a good audit. The only complaint the auditor had was and I don't think it was 100% agreement, but at any rate, they had some question and concerns on how what's called the CFA. It's called a CFA report, and how they fill out how the clerk's office fills out the CFA report as far as the federal awards expenditures, and it had to do with the CARES money, and then nothing major. He just found they just wanted to see it done a different way for that CFA report to be done. Otherwise, everything clear when you think about the
got another good rating. They won't give you that great rating.
Well, I don't. I don't think this first one we got they would give it. Now we're still waiting. I think on our audit report from the auditor for the complete one they just done. Unless they
it was published.
Oh, did they send it out? See, they were supposed to send us a copy first, and they didn't.
Well, it's already out.
They didn't bother to do that. Well, okay, good. Yeah. So we got to get.
And they just mentioned a few things about, and basically they gave you the good rating. It's hard to get excellent.
They told us that we would get a written copy first, and we haven't seen it yet.
Well, it's online.
Interesting how things work.
Yeah. Anyway, the only thing they really mentioned there was about off-site backups for the computers and some password protections, and really that was about it. And then they had one fun with the sheriff's department that didn't know where the money was, but didn't know where it came from, but they put it back in the treasury. Right.
Unidentified money that was sitting there, and so it was turned over to the treasurer to be deposited.
That's it.
Yep, that was it. So the last we talked to them, they said it would be online and available, and they'd let us know. I actually had not seen that yet.
I'm letting you know.
Yeah. So, but we did mention to them. I said, well, if the state's going to do everything online, then how about the state guaranteeing that everybody has real good internet service?
And what did they say to that?
Yeah, silence. I said, if you really, and seriously,
I know.
If the state's going to do this and they're determined they're going to do everything online, then by golly, make sure everybody has this great, wonderful internet service, but they don't. And yet here we are. They insist on doing it online, and it really gets under my hide if you couldn't tell.
No, I can't tell.
Yeah.
I didn't think it even bothered you that much.
Yep. Anyway, well, we wanted a good report, so that's what we got. So glad to get that. Many counties would be.
Well,
tickled.
that was in your year old today yesterday, and I gave to you. You didn't even read it.
Haven't had time, Stan.
But that's a Dent County audit report right there on top.
Okay.
Thought it would have grabbed your attention.
Real good deal. Yeah. Didn't get a chance.
Yeah, okay. Not a big deal.
Okay. Glad I came in.
Yeah.
Learned something every day.
There you go.
You can teach a dog new tricks.
Or just is an old dog? No, is an old dog dumb tricks or just?
Well, a good report is what we were expecting.
Yeah.
From when we last talked to them, that was pretty well where it was at, what it was going to be, with no surprises, and they had no real concerns other than wanting everybody to change their passwords all the time and wanting the commission to make sure they did. And so our question was, well, the commission shouldn't know all the passwords of everybody, so how would we know if they did or they didn't? But so we had an interesting discussion about that aspect of it, but that's okay. Passwords are just about the bane.
Well, I get it. And I get where they're coming from, Darrell. But one of the things these computers don't have that they do, but they don't, that you or I could get to, is a way in. If somebody say should die in an accident, they're the only ones that know the password. And let's just say they changed it that day, hadn't written it down, or even if they did write it down, you don't know where it is. You can't get in, and then you've got to call somebody to try and actually break into their password protocol. And usually that costs a lot of money. There should be a fail-safe backup way in. Now I know there is, but you got to call somebody for them to get in there like that. So that's one of the things that when I read about passwords and stuff, and I look at my own computers, and you know as well as I do, the first time you access one and the password's wrong, and you're like, what did I do wrong? You don't even know what it is then. All of a sudden you start thinking, well, it's always been this. Why would it not be that? Well, like banks sometimes say, you've got to change your password. You've got to change your password. Yeah, well, now I'm not going to remember what it is.
How do you keep up with that many different passwords?
It's like every 4 months.
Yep.
Should you guys be protecting it on your side?
Right.
So
anyway, very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of good stuff.
Well,
and don't forget that.
Well, I'm glad it's out. That it is. At least we did get what we were expecting and hoping. That's when we went into it, was hoping, to get an excellent is just almost totally impossible, because the fact of the matter is there are statutes that we're asked to comply with, counties that conflict with existing statutes, and even the auditors have said, you know what, as the years go along, we end up having to pick which statute are we going to comply with. which means we are then in out of compliance with another one just already. And so in order to qualify for an excellent rating, you have to not have any findings at all of any kind that you were in conflict with any statutes.
Yeah.
So makes it almost impossible, and it's kind of a joke if you get down to it to think that.
About 5 years
so-
ago, the city actually had a firm out of Sullivan, I think, that went through those, and any conflict of ordinances, they had to resolve them.
Yeah.
And they had to make sure they weren't there.
Be nice
I wonder
if
why
the
the
state-
state doesn't do
It'd be
that.
nice if the state would do that.
Yeah. You would think they should, because usually every ordinance that they approve or every law they approve, it says supersedes and, this other law. Well, not all of that law follows that particular approval of what they just did. So
Yeah.
parts of that law still exist, and so it doesn't go off the books.
Yep. Who knows?
Crazy. And then Miss Sally Burbridge was in
Oh, yes.
the county as well.
Gave us an update on and what's going on in the county and city, economic development wise. Work is proceeding very well, has proceeded very well on the certified site. It has been seeded and strawed. Hasn't had much rain to get the seed moving and going and stuff, but it'll be fine. It'll, with the straw on it, it'll be fine, and we'll get some rain. It'll get it sprouted and going. And so they're still awaiting word from the state as far as on the certified site, whether it's gotten the certification, but I look forward to that. I should think they'll get it. And that the things are proceeding now on the building trades. Building this construction for the school.
Right.
And
The
things.
Welcome
I
Home
think-
program now has
Uh-huh.
basically 4 rounds ready. Still have 2 to go.
Yep. So, always enjoy Sally coming in. She does a great job. Got a full plate right now. Of course, she had a full plate already anyway. So
I think she has 3
she's got
full
it-
plates.
got a plate with sideboards on it now. Yep. So
Just keep jamming more stuff on that plate. Yeah.
anyway, I do want to mention though the courthouse will be closed this Monday in observance of Columbus Day, and so the next meeting of the county commission will be next Thursday.
Very good.
Yep.
Great. And that pretty well covers it all, doesn't it?
We plowed a lot of ground there, didn't we?
We did.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
We definitely did. No doubt about that.
And Salem Tigers have football tonight at
Yes,
Mountain
they
Grove.
do. Yes, they do. They'll travel down to Mountain Grove, take on the Panthers.
Take on the mighty Panthers. That one may be a challenge for them.
Yeah, they're pretty good, so
Yep.
we'll-
So wish the Tigers well. Wish all the kids well.
Yeah.
Play hard. Play your hearts out. Don't get hurt. And come home.
And the lady volleyball Tigers will be looking for a tournament tomorrow. And they
Real
are,
good.
by the way, they are seated second in their district. The districts came out
Very
late
good.
last night, and so they'll get a bye in the first round, and then they'll play on Saturday at Sullivan, the 22nd of October,
Oh yeah.
6:30.
Yep.
So, and they're doing well. 14-5 on the year. They had a 12 match string ended the other night against South Iron, who, by the way, is second place in the state last year. So they're not somebody said, "What's a small little school?"
Yeah.
well, second place in the state, you're not
Yeah.
shabby, okay? And so
our volleyball ladies have done a great job.
they have.
Had a
They've
great season.
really recovered well, and Coach Barnes has done a great job with those ladies. So
Yeah.
we wish them the very best in progressing. Again, a looking tournament tomorrow, and then they'll come back. They have 3 home matches, their final 3 home matches next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So we'll have a lot of volleyball on the air next week right here on KSMO. And also video streaming in on KSMO Media, KSMO Facebook stream, and our YouTube page. Lots of good stuff coming your way.
Yes,
It's gonna be
sir.
a busy week next
Yes,
week.
sir. Yep. Well, it's great weather to get out and get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, that's true. And starting to see those colors turn. That's just starting to see them the other day. Going down to Willow Springs, and
By the time we're back, we'll be back on the air here on the 21st.
see a lot of
There'll be a lot more color by then.
well, actually, we will after tonight when it gets really cool with that frost, if it's possible. Then you'll start to see colors really start to pop.
Frost, huh? Okay.
Yeah, frost.
Yep. We had frost at my house already here.
Well, this one might
But
be a
this is
hard
more of a
freeze,
general
though.
frost.
Yeah, scattered frost is not great for your plants, but a hard freeze, that means when it hits 32 or below, and it's called Goodnight Irene. It's over. Sometimes on a soft frost.
I don't know that I've heard it put that way. Good night, Irene.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, very good. I want to thank Darrell for coming in and talking with us about our last 3 weeks of activities with the County Commission. And, of course, as always, we thank Darrell for coming in. We also thank him for being part of this program to keep you informed about what's going on in your county in a lot more detail than you're going to get anywhere else unless you're actually at the meeting.
That's right.
And those meetings, by the way, are open to the public starting at 9 o'clock, and you're more than welcome to come on by and be a part of it, listen in, and find out what's going on. But if you can't, this is like the next best thing, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. We'll cover everything that happened plus some more.
Very good, very good. Anyway, Darrell does pay for this program out of his pocket. No county dollars, no tax dollars are expended to make this possible. And we do appreciate, again, Darrell for doing that. And he could even, I think you even said you went back over how many years you've been doing this. And but it's an investment into the community.
Well,
That's what it really is.
It is, and I do appreciate the opportunity, Stan. And I hear lots of folks comment periodically about something they heard and learned that they didn't know, and so on. So that's what it's all about. So I do appreciate the chance, and we will be back here in a couple of weeks. And until then, I do hope everyone will be safe, happy, healthy. God bless each and every one of you.